Welcome back, everybody. You got Will and Iron here from the Block Runner MetaZone Rovi Nemscraft. Today, we're going to be talking about some tap updates.
Big ones, dude. Big leagues.
Yeah, this is a big deal. This is one of the more difficult ones to explain, only because we understand tap so deeply, and we understand like the trajectory of tap.
Yeah.
And it's not easy to understand, but that's our job to make it easy.
Or at least attempt to do so.
The
best thing we could do is actually demonstrate like the utilization of all this stuff, which we've done in the past, right? We've done it with the block pad.
That's right.
It was a front and center demonstration of how do you leverage privileged authority, Privoth.
Yeah.
Right. What else have we done? Oh yeah, DMT itself, the whole damn protocol.
Oh yeah, DMT.
It was a front and center demonstration of how do you leverage like the functionality extensions of tap protocol, which is like a protocol designed for developers, right? So it's like, all right, it works.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. So it's like now some new shit is being incorporated, so that's going to enable more new shit, right? Like, conditional logic to issue new tokens and smart contracts. And like, wow, these are all new things people like ourselves and other devs can take advantage of, right?
So I think it's helpful to understand an example of end game functionality. So let me give you that example. Think of you're in the metaverse, right? You're on a bitmap.
Yeah.
And you have a bunch of devs building in this bitmap, and you're interacting with things. And let's say you try to purchase for something within a bitmap. It's like, oh no, I have to use L1 assets. I have to make an L1 transaction. It's going to take forever.
Yikes.
Right.
Yeah.
And so what Tap does, it uses account abstraction, and you can interact with smart contracts where you don't have to make an L1 transaction on Bitcoin directly. You can make that same transaction outside of the L1 network, still affecting your L1 balance of, like, let's say the NAT token or the TAP token, or any TAP token, part of the ecosystem.
Mm-hmm.
And so all of a sudden you're doing these high volume of transactions. It's not costing huge fees, because maybe there's like a mania happening on Bitcoin and it's extremely expensive.
Yeah.
You can circumvent that with account abstraction.
Correct. Yeah, so that's one of the big things I think that needs to be kind of like more discussed. Fitzy's obviously super like energized. Last time we had a Twitter space with him, so we'll probably have one this Friday too.
Yeah.
Kind of going deeper into these concepts, because he was like telling us, like, guys, you don't even know like what Benny's been working on, really. He's like, this whole account abstraction thing is going to revolutionize everything. It was like, well, that sounds really neat, Fitzy.
Yeah.
Wish we knew more, but once we do figure out, we're definitely obviously going to use it, right? Because the scope of what we need to do to achieve our goals, it's pretty tremendous, right? So we need as many developer tools as we can get our hands on, right?
Yeah, so let's take a look at this roadmap here. So Tap Protocol roadmap updates for 2024, Q4 roadmap, and let's go a little bit deeper. So we're in Q4, right? They're going to work on a wallet, something Gib.
Gib or Gib. So this is like a OG Tap token, right? Like whenever the protocol first deployed.
I think it's one of the first test tokens.
Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of like NAT, right? It was a demonstration token just to prove that the protocol works.
Yeah.
And it has like its memeability and all this stuff, like a large holder count, all that stuff. So something Gib is coming.
So marketplace open beta. So that's interesting. Swap beta. We have an inscriber beta, a bridge to Ethereum.
All this before mid-October, which is pretty much in a month.
It's like 2 weeks.
It's like 3 weeks or something. Yeah. Damn, dude, that's quite a lot of stuff. So if I were you, I would definitely pay attention, as we will, to all these like rollouts, because that's a lot of stuff that's coming out.
Yeah. So then after this TGE, there's a swap V1, a marketplace V1. So
we're exiting beta stage,
right? Something Doginal.
I haven't heard Doginals in forever, dude. So
yeah,
I guess this is like a demonstration of like cross-chain like support.
Yeah.
Right, for the whole protocol.
Right. Native staking, more token utility.
Need that.
And track network, so track token on the network, and then pipe AI.
So do you want to explain why, like, don't ignore the AI thing? Because you're one of the few individuals I think who can, like, well, why is AI on the roadmap, dude?
Like, man, there's so many reasons.
Without knowing actually what it is, because we don't know, obviously.
Yeah, I don't know exactly what pipe AI is exactly, but I do know that AI is going to be this game-changing technology that every single application on your phone, on your laptop is going to be utilizing and integrating to some extent.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean that they're doing it right, but it means that you need to be thinking about it as a creator, as a developer, of how your application takes advantage of AI, because it is how the future is going to be generating content.
I see.
So having Pipe AI, I think all this means is that Benny is thinking about how to integrate AI into like this ecosystem and what that would look like.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think at some point it's just going to bleed into everything we know and love about technology.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah, I mean, for good reason, right? It just, everything you've shown me as far as like these AI apps and all these useful tools, typically it's like a 10 to 100x like expediter of like tasks or whatever, right? So yeah, I don't know. We don't know exactly what the Pipe AI thing is, but I mean, we're definitely interested to find out. But so all this other stuff is just leading into 2025, where developers like ourselves building on the Tap ecosystem, we have the right frameworks and tools to actually deliver killer products, right?
Yeah, and there's a lot of the stuff being built here that we need to utilize like ASAP.
I know. So this is this was a breath of relief when we saw everything that's coming out. So I mean, again, Benny deserves a ton of praise, because this is not easy stuff. This is not trivial. This is stuff we direly need in this Bitcoin landscape.
You know who else needs this, man?
Who?
Ethereum.
Oh, you think so?
Yeah, no, I know so.
Okay.
Because it says it right here.
All right.
For those interested in authorities, token privileges are within the Tap protocol. Here's an overview. Authorities on the Tap protocol are the equivalent of account abstraction on Ethereum, but on Bitcoin L1.
Mm-hmm.
In particular, similar to what auth and auth call opcodes are supposed to do, read more about account abstraction here. Since authorities are implemented since many months on Tap protocol, you can already abstract your accounts and either take care about your accounting rules through authorities or give the responsibility for selected assets to other authorities. And then authorities can also be communicating and deal with each other based on their particular rule set. So all this, like he gives an example, privileged authorities being used in DMT assets is in an ordered way. You can do this with regular non-DMT tokens. Another example is to create smart contracts on or off-chain acting as authorities to control the flow of assets. So all this is to say is account abstraction is taking the ability to create some sort of condition. All right, let's say the condition is I only want 1 mint per wallet, right? That's a condition.
Yeah.
So you can force that ability onto like marketplaces using token privilege auth.
Correct.
And then it's up to the marketplaces to kind of mitigate that and make sure that there is only 1 per mint, because that's what the market desires, right? Or say, for example, you create a smart contract on ICP, and that smart contract allows you to do back-end functionalities except in a transparent way. And all of a sudden, if you meet those conditions that those smart contract is written for, then your account is being updated and changed based off of like interacting with this game, or having enough jumps in this game to achieve more NAT tokens in your balance.
Correct.
And so now all of a sudden you are interacting with these smart contracts that are affecting your L1 assets in a way that it is completely transparent and verifiable. And now all of a sudden Tap is updating these token balances based off like the events and state changes that are occurring on the smart contract.
Yeah. So this is end game. That's basically what you're saying.
Yeah, 100% end game.
We're finally there. We're like, just based on what you described to me, now I could finally, because we were doing these things on Ethereum like a few years ago. I remember we were building these metaverse apps, right? Where we were actually building these games, these functional functional content where there were conditional requirements in order for like new assets to be produced, right?
Yeah.
Certain things like crafting stations within a game, right? You have to like provide this crafting asset with like a specific formula of like in-game assets in order for it to produce this new non-fungible token asset, right?
Yeah, dude, that's a perfect example, right? So you're interacting with this smart contract, this crafting mechanism that says, hey, you need 6 of these, 10 of those, 4 of these, and if you supply them with those assets, then you can produce a non-arbitrary token.
Correct.
Right? And so Now you have like a real game logic happening in the metaverse.
Yeah, and that's just one example, right? So these are things that were natively supported and enabled through programmability of Ethereum. So this is what we've been talking about for like the last year on this channel, right? And trying our best to keep our finger on all this different like experimentation and all this tribalism that's formed as a result of like our way is the best way, right? So it's like we're not the only ones building a shipyard. Everyone's working on shipyards right now in the Bitcoin space, right? Tap is like one of the biggest shipyards and probably one of the least talked about shipyards, but the one closest to actually like producing these tangible tools to produce killer products, right?
Right.
Specifically for the metaverse, right? Because we could see it now, right? We can actually put these tools to use.
Yeah, I'm excited, dude. We actually can achieve the goals that we set out to achieve thanks to Benny, dude.
I know. Thankfully, Benny is fucking goated for a reason, right? Because I'll be honest, dude, I wasn't sure if we were going to get there.
Yeah.
To be honest, like as much bifurcation and like competitiveness is good, right? But I felt like it was getting to a point where maybe it was just like too much.
Like fractionalization of the ecosystem of some kind?
Yeah, I guess it's something like that. There's definitely some fractional attempts out there, you know, which is fine. And then people kind of like move around and stuff, but these are like short-term happenings within the ecosystem, right? The thing that really is, again, it's going to matter is who's going to build the killer app. Exactly. Something we've never seen before.
That's right.
Right, because that's what the invisible hand is quickly going to understand that, right? Human beings are really good at picking up as like something new is actually happening here.
Yeah, yeah.
And they're all going to gravitate towards that thing.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, it's history has, backs this up, right? Throughout the entire history of crypto, the things that start the mania are the new things.
Absolutely, yeah.
Right, so let's go through another example. Papillion here. He shout out to Fitzy for the great breakdown of account abstraction on Tap protocol. Tap already implemented what Ethereum is still working on.
Mm-hmm.
It says, I tinkered a bit on the weekend as I found the concept still a bit abstract.
Abstract, dude. Very good.
Which is his token here. However, so let's make this combo more visual. So here's a game, and then you can collect tokens using this method. So I think this is already functioning.
Yeah.
But it says account abstraction lets you delegate limited or conditional access to tokens in your wallet. Complicated? Imagine a browser game where you play to take the Tap protocol to the moon. When you score 500 points, you are eligible to collect Tapstract tokens.
Easy, he says.
So now imagine this functionality of collecting 500 points and just replace that with anything that you've seen, anything you can think of in terms of functionality and conditions.
Yeah.
And build that into a smart contract that transparently allows for the update of accounts and for verification of anybody, auditing the whole system.
Correct. Yeah. So if you think move to earn was a good idea, you could do something similar in the metaverse, right?
100%.
It's like 1000x steps in the metaverse equals, you qualify for a token emission of some kind, right?
That's right.
Now you've got like, fitness, fitness in the metaverse industry, dude.
Yeah.
You gotta stay ripped, dude. Maybe like the conditions of that activate like a new
new abs.
Can you imagine that? That's how you get ripped, dude.
Yeah.
Like the hard way. You
gotta
earn it.
All of a sudden you jump in the metaverse, everybody's just like running around.
Just to get shredded.
Yeah.
Fuck yeah, dude. We're all like fat on like the in the real world.
Yeah.
Shredded metaverse characters just like goops.
Right.
In the real world. God damn it, dude. What's that movie? The little robot movie.
The
Pixar one. God damn it. Everyone knows what I'm talking about, but that movie was right, dude.
Yeah, what's it called, dude?
The ones with the robots, dude. The little fucking people are like drinking smoothies and just like plugged in.
It's called Eevee?
Wall-E.
Wall-E.
Dude, why was that so hard to retrieve? It just was. But yeah, that Wall-E might actually come true.
Yeah, so all those people in those armchairs are like ripped in the metaverse.
Yeah, shredded. Absolutely.
All right, so he goes through these examples, and I feel like you guys get the point now. So
yeah. So again, we could talk about these things all day, but we know through experience, like the best way to explain everything is through demonstration, right?
Yeah.
So we're getting close to that.
So it's like, well, you're talking about account abstractions. Like, what is that in the context of Ethereum? Well, we have a thread here that goes into why account abstraction is important and why they're still working on it.
Yeah.
So so I don't want to go through the details, but it's essentially the same thing except a little bit more advanced because we're talking about Ethereum's like functionality is already kind of built into the framework.
Yeah.
But the difference is that you have a wallet, which is an ETH address, and it's very basic. You can either spend the assets or not spend the assets. That is the function of the wallet.
Yeah.
But with account abstraction, you can delegate functionality to that to a separate wallet that has functionality built in, such as what if I want to spend ETH to pay for my Netflix account on a monthly basis, right? That smart contract wallet account can do that for you.
Interesting.
Right. And so that's just a very basic example of account abstraction on Ethereum.
Yeah.
So yeah, all the details are here. I'll let you guys kind of go through that. And then, so track comes in here, tap protocol update. Through the use of block transferables and unblock transferables, accounts may now choose to disallow the creation of transferables and use internal sending functions instead of token auth and token send. So smart contract and token authorities utilizing these functions are advised to use block transferables as it prevents BRC20 grief attacks. We will use this for our upcoming DeFi smart contracts. So not only is Benny coming up with this functionality, right, but he's actually he's eating his own dog food, essentially.
Yeah, just like I said, like we could talk about this stuff all day. I mean, I think a lot of people just don't understand like the practical application of all this for good reason, right? You have to be like grinding in the developer weeds to understand like how this stuff applies and the benefits of it and stuff. So that's part of our job is to, again, use these tools, create cool products that you guys are going to get firsthand experience. Yeah, to interface with, specifically in the Matrix, right? Because that's definitely going to be like our proving grounds of like the maximum utilization, therefore like the optimal output of like metaverse content, right? From our perspective. Yeah. Which again, like I said a minute ago, I didn't know if we were going to be able to achieve it, to be honest. Yeah. But I'm
so you
pretty
trust in
confident
Benny, dude.
Yeah, Benny delivered just in time. We're actually going to be able to build like a real metaverse economy on Bitcoin. Like, just think about what I just said.
Yeah, all L1 stuff, dude.
Yeah, this is actually going to happen.
All right. So Benny and Track Team, they come out with this, and here's their GitHub to go into detail.
Yeah, in case you're a dev wondering how to get started. Yeah, go there. But
so,
yeah, here's the product, dude.
Yeah, so what does it look like to actually leverage this from the perspective of Track Team? Well, it looks like this swapping tool. Yeah. It says, since we are now wrapping up our TAP protocol to Bitcoin L1 swap automated market making, we'd like to thank ICP Dfinity for the collaborative approach on how to develop for blockchains. So due to TAP's protocols and ICP's capability to sign transactions programmatically in a decentralized, secure fashion, we are able to provide true L1 programmability for Bitcoin. No bridges, no multi-sig wallets, no roll-ups or special wallets required. People can get straight in the action. To stay light years ahead of the competition, we are already progressing with the development of smart contracts that help other chains to tap into Bitcoin L1.
All right, dude.
Yeah, so
this is it. So we're here. I think the community and ecosystem are very excited to take part in like.
I mean, dude, look at this picture, dude. Yeah. TAP tokens converted to Bitcoin, right? And so presumably you'll be able to switch any of these assets, any NAT tokens, basically any Bitcoin L1 asset.
How are they going to do that, dude? What's the...
Through account abstraction.
And what? Like these smart contracts that enable like liquidity pool, automated market maker functionalities that interact with these L1 assets through this account abstraction method to make things efficient and user-friendly.
That's right.
So yeah, man, excited for that. This is another thing we've been desperately needing because, per the DMT protocol, fungible token production is going to become like a staple within like the metaverse ecosystem, right? It's part of like being engaged within like an ecosystem within the metaverse, right?
Yeah, so for all you guys watching, make sure you bookmark this video and come back to it in 3 months and you'll see
3 months?
Yeah, I would say
3 to 6 months. Within that time frame, I think 3 to 6 months from now, we're gonna have a pretty like robust, I think, metaverse environment.
Well, that metaverse environment, but I was saying 3 months to give some like examples, like functional examples.
Yeah.
That we're going to be jumping into and interacting with these smart contracts.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, so 3 months, and then 3 months following after that, I think we're going to see like an explosion of this, right? Because part of the value premise of like what we're doing as a community for the Natrix is getting that inertia, getting past that inertia point.
Yeah, going from 0 to 1 is like one of the hardest things to do.
Hell yeah, it is. It's super hard.
Yeah.
So we just need a couple of killer like executions, and like people will understand like the blueprint how to do this, right? Because everything we do is platformatizable.
Yeah.
Right. So that other developers can like, basically replicate and redo or expand upon it with some new like iteration of things.
Right.
Like, and this is what it's going to take to really get like bitmap beyond just like something that just chills in your wallet. Right.
Yeah. Agreed.
Yeah.
All right. Well, if you have any questions, please let us know in the comment section below. Stay tuned to the Twitter account. There's going to be a ton more releases here. We're going to be updating all kinds of stuff on bitmap. And also be on the lookout for LDE, land distribution event.
It's going to drop. If you're not paying attention, you're going to miss it.
Yeah.
Paying attention, guys.
All right, guys. I appreciate you, and we will catch you in the next video.
Peace.